The South China Sea rumbles with tension as dawn breaks over artificial islands bristling with military hardware. What happens when China unveils a weapon system the Pentagon feared for years, and America answers with its most advanced stealth bomber? Before we reveal the devastating response, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us which military technology impresses you most. This isn't speculation anymore. This is happening right now. The Chinese military complex on Subi Reef operates in silence as technicians complete final system checks on a railgun installation that could reshape naval warfare forever. Electromagnetic launchers capable of firing projectiles at 7 times the speed of sound now stand operational, mounted on reinforced platforms that took 3 years to construct. Intelligence satellites detected the activation sequence 72 hours ago, triggering emergency Pentagon briefings that lasted through the night. This railgun represents a quantum leap in anti-ship and anti-aircraft capabilities, with ranges exceeding 200 kilometers and kinetic energy that makes traditional armor obsolete. The installation sits alongside S-400 air defense batteries, anti-ship cruise missiles, and radar arrays that create an overlapping defensive bubble extending across international shipping lanes. Commercial vessels reroute daily to avoid the militarized zone. While fishing fleets from Vietnam and the Philippines abandoned traditional waters, their families worked for generations. The weapon's activation follows months of diplomatic warnings that Beijing ignored, alongside military exercises simulating blockades of Taiwan and interdiction of supply routes to American allies. Chinese state media broadcasts celebrate the achievement as defensive modernization, while military analysts worldwide recognize the offensive potential of a weapon that can strike vessels before crews detect incoming fire. The electromagnetic signature alone tells adversaries that conventional naval approaches just became suicide. Missions: American carriers operating east of the Philippines adjusted their patrol patterns immediately, maintaining distances that reduce response times while staying beyond the railgun's effective range. Admirals briefing congressional committees acknowledge that surface fleet dominance, maintained since World War II, faces its most serious challenge. The railgun fires aluminum projectiles weighing 23 kilograms that impact with force equivalent to high explosive warheads, but leave no chemical signature and cost a fraction of traditional munitions. The Strategic Command Operations Center, deep beneath Offutt Air Force Base, coordinates the American response, as senior officers evaluate options that avoid escalation while demonstrating resolve. Direct engagement risks regional war that could pull in Japan, South Korea, and NATO partners through treaty obligations. Economic sanctions face Chinese countermeasures that could crash global markets still recovering from previous disruptions. Diplomatic protests carry zero weight against a regime that views international law as suggestions rather than obligations. The answer arrives in the form of a B-21 Raider, the most advanced bomber in American history. Lifting off from Whiteman Air Force Base under cover of darkness, this flying wing design incorporates stealth technology generations beyond anything currently deployed. With radar signatures smaller than large birds and infrared suppression that makes thermal tracking nearly impossible. Only 20 units exist, each costing over $2 billion and representing the cutting edge of aerospace engineering. The mission profile remains classified, but the aircraft's presence over the Western Pacific sends unmistakable messages. The B-21 carries payloads including hypersonic missiles, precision-guided bombs, and electronic warfare systems that can blind enemy radar networks. Its operational ceiling exceeds 60,000 feet, putting it beyond the engagement envelope of most surface-to-air missiles, while its range allows strikes from international airspace without requiring tanker support that would compromise stealth Chinese air defense. Operators tracking the skies above their artificial islands see nothing on their screens as the bomber circles at altitude. Its synthetic aperture radar mapping every installation, vehicle, and personnel position with resolution measuring individual equipment pieces. The electromagnetic railgun that seemed invincible hours earlier now appears vulnerable. Its position marked, its weaknesses analyzed, its destruction merely a command away. American intelligence already knows the generator capacity, the cooling system requirements, and the reload time between shots. The Raider doesn't fire, because the demonstration requires no kinetic action. The mere presence of an aircraft Chinese systems cannot track or target delivers strategic consequences more powerful than any explosion. Beijing's military leadership understands immediately that their railgun installation, along with every other weapon system on their island bases, sits exposed to strikes they cannot prevent. The billions invested in creating these fortified positions just became liabilities rather than assets. International reaction unfolds across multiple time zones as allied governments receive briefings through secure channels. Japanese defense officials note the development with satisfaction, recognizing that American stealth capabilities provide deterrence their own forces cannot match. Australian military planners adjust their own procurement priorities, recognizing that future conflicts in the Indo-Pacific will require capabilities operating beyond traditional engagement ranges. Taiwan's defense ministry issues carefully worded statements acknowledging improved regional security dynamics. Thus, the Chinese foreign ministry responds with predictable rhetoric about American aggression and violations of sovereign airspace, despite the bomber never entering contested zones. State media broadcasts ignore the strategic implications while focusing on nationalist narratives about standing firm against foreign pressure. Military commentators with connections to the People's Liberation Army take different tones, acknowledging privately that the B-21 demonstration exposed vulnerabilities requiring urgent attention and massive investment to address. The Raider returns to base after a mission lasting 14 hours. Its crew debriefed immediately by intelligence officers recording every sensor reading and observation. Engineers analyzed the aircraft's performance, validating stealth characteristics against real-world air defense networks operating at full capacity. The bomber suffered 0 detection events despite flying within range of some of the world's most sophisticated radar systems, confirming that American investment in next-generation platforms provides decisive advantages. This exchange in the South China Sea represents modern great power competition, where demonstrations of capability replace direct combat while achieving similar strategic effects. China activated a weapon system designed to deny American forces access to contested regions, and America responded by proving it maintains capabilities that make such denial impossible. Neither side fired shots, yet the military balance shifted measurably, with implications rippling through defense ministries worldwide. The railgun on Subi Reef remains operational, its crews maintaining readiness protocols, despite knowing that stealth bombers they cannot track could eliminate their position within minutes of receiving orders. The electromagnetic launcher that seemed revolutionary now appears as vulnerable as any fixed installation, its deterrent value diminished by weapon systems operating in realms beyond Chinese defensive capabilities. Beijing faces choices between accepting strategic disadvantage or investing hundreds of billions developing technologies that might close the gap. American military planners recognize that technological superiority provides temporary advantages, requiring constant innovation to maintain. The B-21 program cost over $80 billion and took 2 decades from concept to deployment. China's economy and industrial base can support similar investments, meaning today's advantage becomes tomorrow's parity unless innovation accelerates. The cycle of action and response continues, with each side pushing technological boundaries while calculating risks of miscalculation that could trigger conflicts neither wants. The South China Sea remains contested, its waters crossed by commercial vessels carrying global trade while military forces shadow each other, maintaining readiness for conflicts everyone hopes to avoid. Artificial islands bristle with weapons whose effectiveness depends on scenarios no one can predict, while stealth aircraft patrol skies, enforcing balances of power measured in capabilities rather than combat. This is modern warfare, where demonstrations prevent battles and technology determines outcomes before shots are fired.